Hello and welcome to Procrastination Points Video Snark. This video series isn't an audiobook, is designed as commentary. This series emphasizes reading and listening comprehension skills. If you thought that this was an audiobook, maybe stick around and learn something. I also want to know why it is that you thought that this was an audiobook, because no matter how many times that I say up front that this is a detailed book review, people still get upset that this isn't an audiobook. What made you click on this? My focus is on reading books, discussing what went wrong, and suggesting ways that they could be fixed. I'm continuing my read-through of Girl in Line by Zoe Sugg and or Siobhan Curham. If you haven't seen the earlier videos, you can find the links below. Chapter 25. In the morning, Penny feels happy about the prospect of getting to see Noah again. She then starts talking to the doll and acting kind of weird. Like there's playing with dolls and making up little stories about them, and then there's whatever this is. Good morning, I say to her because I'm so overexcited. I'll even talk to a doll. Did you sleep well? I imagine the doll saying, no, actually, I slept terribly because my eyes are glued open. How would you sleep if your eyes were glued open? Like, what is this? What is happening? As she checks her blog, she gets a text from Noah. It seems as though he's gotten magical mystery day fever. They make jokes about the Empire State Building turning into cake, and he tells her to look outside. It's snowing. The narration then brushes over the actual wedding, which I'm honestly kind of glad. We already wasted literally half of this book before we even introduced Noah's character. Let's not waste any more time with this stupid wedding. Anyway, Penny goes around and does some detailed close-up shots again to complement with whatever the main photographer is getting pictures of. During the reception, her mom approaches and explains that the maid of honor asked for her to help plan her 30th birthday on New Year's Eve in New York, which would obviously involve them not going back to the UK and spending Christmas with Tom. When Penny questions about Tom, the narration is quick to chuck Tom under the proverbial bus. The mom insists that Tom is going to be spending Christmas with his girlfriend. However, the entire thing is honestly kind of terrible, especially since Tom made us think about how they've never once not spent Christmas together. Like, why did the author bother to write the part about Tom wanting his family to be together for Christmas if the plot revolved around everybody else being in New York? It only makes Tom seem more interested in boning his girlfriend while his family's away than actually being with his family. Actually, the longer I think about the miserable character of Penny's parents and how they've treated her, meaning the way that they've ignored her obvious signs of trauma and panic attacks, Tom pretending to want to be together for Christmas only to turn around and say that he'd rather be with his girlfriend is kind of on brand for the family. I don't know why I'm complaining. The mom goes on to say that Sadie invited the family to spend the day with her because of course they're going to do that. The theme of this wedding was Downton Abbey, which is the couple's favorite show. Rather than to actually have it in the UK, they rushed back to New York to have their wedding and import a wedding planner for it instead. Yeah, it makes zero sense, but whatever. But Penny was dressed up as a maid for the actual wedding part. As the reception got underway, she lamented the fact that she didn't want to see Noah in his servant's dress, but then her mom told her that there was another dress for her to change into. How lovely that she won't have to meet her love interest looking like a servant. Ugh. She goes upstairs to change into the dress, and let me tell you that the narration spent as much time with the mother telling Penny that the dress was upstairs as it did with Penny changing into it. Quite frankly, I'm not sure which one is more offensive than it went on for that amount of time. Actually, it's somehow both at the same time. I don't know what I'm talking about. Neither of these things needed this much time. Love my Snark, I also offer book editing services where I bring that same approach to your writing. If you prefer a more traditional approach, I also offer professional book editing services. You can contact me on any of my social media platforms if you have further questions about my editing services, including pricing options. Chapter 26. When Penny gets back, Elliot says that she's, and I quote, flappertastic, and then describes something that's most decidedly not what a flapper would have ever worn ever. Ugh, I'm so tired of this. Anyway, he leaves because he's been trying to get a hold of his parents, although honestly the UK is 5 hours ahead of New York. If they aren't picking up when their child calls in the middle of the night, it's because they don't care. Penny starts talking about going to meet Noah after he texts her. At this point, there is quite literally nothing more for Penny to be doing. Yes, she had been taking wedding photos, but I'd like to add that's literally the job of the wedding photographer. If you're so busy that you're outsourcing work to a literal high school girl, then maybe you should hire on more staff to help with large events like this. Ugh. After getting permission from her parents to leave the reception, she goes to the kitchen where Noah asked to meet her. Sadie is in there since she's the caterer. Penny thanks the older woman for inviting her family to stay with them on Christmas Day. They talk briefly about Sadie's family dying tragically and about how glad Sadie is that Noah is opening up to somebody about what happened. Noah shows up and invites Penny to come onto a secret rooftop midnight picnic with him. She obviously says yes. As they head out, they continue their Dom Junior High conversation. He asks which fictional character that she'd invite to a midnight picnic. She says the guy from The Fault in Our Stars, which honestly kind of dates this book. To make matters worse, Nora says that he wants to invite the guy from Twilight, quote, so that he could kill him. The anti-Twilight is honestly more worse than The Fault in Our Stars business, and I say this as somebody who was a hardcore anti-Twilight girl back in the day. This has aged like milk. He gives her a hoodie so that she won't be cold, which it's December 23rd in New York and it was snowing that morning. It's got to be freezing. I'm not sure that a singular hoodie is going to be enough. Outside, he starts in about how he's really going to miss her, the girl that he knew for all of 2 hours yesterday. Penny feels weird because Sadie hadn't told him the good news, but now that means that she gets to tell him instead, which she proceeds to do. And I'm not going to lie, I'm so fucking bored with this. Say what you will about the train wreck of stories like the After series, Bad Boys Girl, Chasing Red, I might be screaming my head off over how stupid that the female lead is for intentionally going back to the guy that she knew was only going to cause her even more emotional pain. But holy cow, at least something is happening. I can't say the same thing in this. We're 26 chapters in and I'm like, wow, he's excited that she's staying through the new year? Whoopee! Right when Penny is certain that the two of them are about to kiss, she gets a call from Elliot. He's really upset because his miserable parents allowed him to go running off to another country days before Christmas, but won't let him stay on. He's begging for her to please come home with him. And I get it, I really do. I wouldn't want to be put onto an airplane by myself, especially not when I'm barely 16 years old, but come on, man. He knows all about Noah. Like, don't ruin this for her, man. I say like I don't find Noah's behavior creepy and predatory and slightly inappropriate given their age gap. If you're interested in reading my own stories, you can purchase my spicy short stories as well as 2 full-length novels on Amazon. I also frequently run flash sales on my stories. If you're not already following me on Reddit, I recommend doing so to stay updated on when I offer free content. Reddit is currently the only place where I'm advertising myself these days. Chapter 27. What's up, he says. You look as if someone just told you Santa doesn't exist. He does, by the way. That's just a vicious rumor made up by adults to spoil our fun. Under circumstances, this joke might actually land, but in a teenage romance novel where I've been complaining about the almost 16 chasing after an 18-year-old, this comes off as creepy and pedophilic. Anyway, Noah obviously sees that she's kind of distressed and asks what's wrong. When she tells him, they're both kind of like, oh well, and go back to having a lovely rooftop picnic. And maybe somebody would say that it makes Penny a bad friend, that she doesn't want to go back home with Elliot, but at the same time, why should Elliot's miserable parents force Penny to stop her own holiday, especially not when Penny's parents are the entire reason why Penny is even staying on in the first place? As I said at the end of the last chapters, honestly kind of makes Elliot seem like a bad friend, not Penny. But then Penny does start to feel bad about the entire thing, so she excuses herself from Noah to at least go say goodbye to Elliot. He goes on to remind her that they'll have more time because her parents aren't leaving in the morning, which I think is a fair thing to say. However, before she goes back inside, he kisses her, which is like, okay, whatever. She goes back to the wedding alone, even though she'd offered to let him come as her +1 or to use the fact that he's the caterer's grandson. Elliot asks where she'd been and gets upset that Noah had left to go home. He then explains that his parents had said that they never agreed for him to spend Christmas in New York, although, and this is a hill that I'm going to die on, they still allowed him to go to New York and to be traveling on Christmas Eve, the day that's notorious for flight delays and overbookings. Sure, Jan. But Elliot pauses as if for dramatic effect. They did say that if you came home with me, you'd be welcome to spend Christmas at ours. As if that's some sort of consolation prize to an extra week in New York and getting to make out with a hot guy. He's touching the head if he thinks that Penny is going to accept that. Penny's parents show up then, and Elliot tells about how he wants for Penny to come back home with him. Penny hems and haws as she tries to figure out how to explain to him that she wants to stay in New York, and I think that a little bit of that is trying to explain to him that he's kind of a miserable friend for wanting to drag her back to the UK for a frozen TV dinner instead of to spend the holiday with her parents. Even if Noah isn't in the picture, it's kind of an awful thing to ask. Mercifully, Penny's mom is the one who's like, oh no, we're not going to be at the hotel for Christmas, we'll be spending the day with Sadie, Lee, and Noah. And while she's not wrong for ripping that particular bandage off, way to rub it in that they're not going to be having the time of their lives while Elliot has to be with his alpha parents. Obviously, Elliot expresses how worse that made him feel. Even the thought of the family being in New York for the next 8 days wasn't enough to perk him up. Again, I don't blame Elliot for wanting emotional support during this. Mainly, I'm upset that his parents are so miserable that they're going to drag him back home to what feels to me so that they can maintain control over him. The dad makes some paper-thin excuse for them to leave Penny alone with Elliot. Elliot says that he'd better go start packing now, and Penny offers to help him. He complains that he doesn't have any appetite, but perks up some when she mentions chocolate-covered strawberries, mainly to complain that Noah is perfect. I jump over to them having finished packing. Elliot at least has enough decency to apologize for being such a sour person wanting to drag Penny away from all that. And I get it, it's okay to be grumpy when people treat you unfairly. At least he did acknowledge all of that. Penny goes on to insist that her time with Noah is special because they'll be a literal ocean apart soon. However, yes, a holiday romance. But as Elliot grins and nods, an unsettling thought occurs to me. This is the first time I've ever lied to him in all our years of friendship. What is she lying about? The status of a relationship with a boy that she's spent now 2.5 hours with? What does this mean? Patreon has recently introduced free memberships. By joining, you'll be able to enjoy the same content I post on Tumblr, now conveniently available on Patreon. Patreon supporters can enjoy even more book snarks starting at only $1 a month. Plus, Patreon now offers a 1-week free trial. Don't miss it! Big shout out to Phoebe for supporting me on Patreon already. If you want to hear your name in my video next week, either support me on Patreon or make a one-time donation. Chapter 28. I once read a magazine article that said every dream has a hidden meaning. Like, if you dream that you're running up a hill but you never get to the top, it means that you're stuck in some area of your life. And if you dream that your teeth are falling out, it means you're feeling really insecure. Or did that one mean that you're pregnant? I'm sure that me still being haunted by showing up naked and late to math class even at the age of 30 plus is full of meaning. That and the fact that I'm also a witch, I can fly but can't conjure up clothes. Let me tell you a little secret. All of the hidden meaning of your dream stuff is absolute nonsense. If somebody tries to tell you that your dreams have hidden meanings, you should probably walk away quickly. Anyway, Penny has a nightmare about being tormented by Meg and Ollie, which really takes a psychology degree to unpack all of that. Sarcasm! When she wakes up, she wants to see if people are still talking about the video Meg put up, and then reminds herself that she doesn't actually want to do all of that. It's my last morning in the Waldorf Astoria. It probably sounds weird to say this, but I feel so attached to this room. This is where my life became like a fairy tale. Girl, you met a cute guy. There will be other cute guys that you meet, ones that will likely be way more lasting than Noah. Excuse me if I'm rolling my eyes over how stupid that this sounds. I grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. MTV was playing non-stop Christmas tunes. Huh, that's cute. Also weirdly dated. Although I will admit that I haven't watched MTV in a while, but the last time I did, they only played music videos before 6 a.m. Ask me how I know this. Later, Elliot tells Penny of how he's going to get back at his parents. This is a long-winded plan, which even the narration mainly brushes over for the sake of comedic relief. Parts 1 and 2 involve taking on a new name of Rainwater, leaving school, and joining a hippie commune. I will fully support his efforts, mainly because his parents sound like giant jerkwads. They don't actually want Elliot back for Christmas, they only seek to control him, as I said earlier. They then drop Elliot off at the airport. However, it's painfully obvious that the author has done exactly 0 flying since 9/11, because they're literally saying goodbye to him at the gate, which you can't do anymore. Like, how old is the author precisely? This is weird for a book that was published in 2014. However, as they go back to get their things and head over to Sadie's house, Penny has a panic attack. She tries to rely on Ocean Strong, but finds that the drug isn't really working without Elliot there, meaning that he was acting as a crutch for her anxiety, which isn't great. She has a really long-winded panic attack that dives into this metaphor of being choked by a giant red hand. Then her mother kind of shakes her out of it by telling her to watch as they cross over the Brooklyn Bridge. Penny is mesmerized by the sight of the bridge. When they get to Sadie's house, Penny feels a little anxious about spending so much time with Noah, especially since it means that she'll be meeting Bella, his 5-year-old sister. But Bella seems like a sweet little girl, and it helps that she says that Penny looks like a mermaid. Penny is bunking in Bella's room, quite literally, as she's on the top bunk. In Bella's room, she shows Penny some of her things, like the giant Disney wall mural that her dad painted before he died. She asks what Penny's doll is named, and Penny lets her name it. At this point, Penny confesses that he calls Penny Autumn, even though her name is literally Penny, because she's got red hair. Get it? Do you get it? If you don't get it, then the author will beat you around the head with it a few more times until the meaning sinks in. Ugh, I have a headache. Bella asks if Penny loves Noah. At least she has enough decency to say that she doesn't really know Noah all that well, and that they only met 2 days ago. Bella then says that Noah loves Penny, and that he's writing a song for her. And look, normally I'm all for the awkward, out-of-the-mouth-of-babes things. Kids really do say the most random and out-of-pocket stuff imaginable, but right now, it kind of seems as if the author is mainly, 1, using Bella as a plot device rather than an actual character, and 2, using this plot device to push Penny and Noah together rather than to come up with a plot that doesn't involve around a miserable teenage insula plot that's going to be forced to end in a week. Make it make sense. Thanks for watching. New Book Snarks videos go live every Monday with occasional extras during the week. Your support means so much, even if it's not financial. Watching my videos, subscribing, and liking and sharing them with friends all go a long way in helping my channel grow. If you've already caught up with all my videos, you can go to Facebook, WordPress, Tumblr, or free on Patreon for my main Book Snarks, always free and updated every morning. Linktree for everything is posted below. See you next week, guys!